Buckle up. Welcome to Musicians and Beyond, where we bring you the backstage info on the life, lyrics, and long journeys of the music and entertainment industry. This is John Sarabian. I am here with Mark Lawhorn, and we have an incredible co-host, Johnny Pizzi. He is very well known around the area. Johnny, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? Great to be here. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here. You're glad. I mean, you do a little bit of everything. You're out in the circuit. You're a musician, a magician, a singer. You're an actor.
Wow.
And you're big.
Gee, I didn't realize I did all these good things.
You do. And we're going to get to our guest in a minute, and that's how we tied you into this, because you're part of a lot that this guy does. But we're going to recap a little bit of episode 22 the other day. Mark, that was incredible.
It was great having Zachary on the show. He's amazingly talented. He's a wonderful kid. His parents seem to have done the right thing with him. You can see it in every way that he comports himself. It was fun having him here. Yeah,
it was great. The kid's, he's on The Voice, like literally on The Voice. He drove over an hour to get here, and Mark had to kindly tell him, you know, Zachary, you might be hitting traffic. He was having a ball here. He was playing for the staff at the studio.
Yeah, he enjoyed himself.
He really did. He really did, and I hope he goes far.
So, you know, you mentioned that he's on The Voice, and, you know, we're fortunate to have as a co-host, Johnny, and he's got the classic Boston accent. I think, you know, every time I hear him, either at any one of the comedy shows, anywhere I hear him on TV, radio, or whatever, it just takes you right to Boston. You know, I don't care where I was in the world, I'd know that guy's from Boston.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a great story. I was in Toronto, Canada. I took my sons, and I'm going back over 30 years ago. Took them to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And there's this exhibit there where Bobby Orr, they do the Bobby Orr scoring the championship goals, you know, Orr to Sanderson. So you become the announcer. So here I am, Toronto, Canada, and I'm doing it. Okay, Bobby got the puck. He throws it to Sanderson. Sanderson back to score. Somebody ran around the thing and said to me, "Oh my God, it's Johnny Pizzi. I'd know that voice anywhere."
That's awesome.
Absolutely would.
Johnny, we got a great guest today. This is episode 23, and I think you're probably the best person to introduce him and tell us a little bit about our guest.
That is certainly my honor. You know, I've been very, very fortunate over the past 7 or 8 years to be involved in his productions. And this guy here, I am always in awe of the things he does. When he puts these shows together, he gets the cream of the crop, talented singers. It's amazing. And what I find amazing is the way he listens to somebody sing. He could tell them exactly where to go with it, what to do with it, how to do with it. Same with the musicians. And he just is an amazing talent, which I'm really honored and proud to be a part of. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce to you my dear friend, my co-artist, Mr. Richie Willis.
Hey.
Richie, welcome.
Yeah.
I've been to your shows, and everything Johnny said is true. They're unbelievable. It's like having a Hollywood-style show right in our own backyard.
Well, thank you, John.
You do a lot of them right here in the area of New England, in Stoneham, at the theater, but you do a lot of stuff everywhere. So, you know, really very impressed with what you do.
Well, thank you, John. Well, when we started our relationship with Stoneham Theater 8 years ago, we found that it was the perfect venue for what I wanted to do with the production company. And we've been back there ever since, every year, with the exception of one because of the pandemic. But we continue to have a working relationship with the theater, and we have an upcoming show next month.
Can you tell us about the show? What's it called? How do we get tickets? All of that.
Okay, well, it's the ultimate tribute show. You know, a lot of bands will put together a tribute show for a specific artist, a specific band, but we decided to take it a step further, and our tribute show covers some of the most incredible singers that have passed on over the last 7 decades. To give you an example, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, Otis Redding, Elvis Presley, Karen Carpenter, John Lennon, and many others, Motown singers.
Prince,
yeah. And we decided to package all of those great songs into one show. And it's a lot of work, but I have the singers that can handle the songs that we're going to be performing. Now, we're not trying to emulate, we're not trying to sound like or imitate any of the artists that we're honoring. We're giving it our own flavor, our own style. And a lot of the arrangements that we do are original arrangements of the original songs that were recorded back then. And so it's working out so far. We've added different twists this time around. We have done this show before, but we've decided to bring in some professional dancers as well.
Wow. In
certain spots of the show, they'll be dancing.
Are they from the Golden Banana?
Well, I was just going to ask. I hope Johnny's not one of the dancers. Are you?
John had his chance at dancing. We did a show a few years back called Open Mic at Mookie's Place. John played the character of Mookie, and again we were singing songs from other artists in this particular show, and John decided to sing a Michael Jackson song. And he wanted to dance. Was it Beat It?
No, it was Billie Jean.
Billie Jean, yeah.
Do you remember it, Johnny?
Oh, very well. Well, I got to say, to be honest.
How'd it go?
Well, let me just say this.
Could you sing it right now?
Boom, 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 doom, 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 doom. No, my kids were young. That's when it came out, about 1980, 81, Billie Jean. And I actually learned the whole thing step by step, moonwalk and everything. But of course, I was a lot younger then too. And so then when we did this 2 years ago, my body couldn't make it through the first 15 seconds of the song, But it was fun. It was comedic, which is, what I do. I'm not a singer, but Richie has been able to take whatever talents I have and utilize them for the show. And and when he, like I said, when he does something, he always does it up fantastic.
Right. I mean, that place holds like 350, 360, and you guys sell out.
We do pretty well there.
Yeah. It's crazy. And the dates, I believe, are November 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yes, the 11th is a Friday night show at 7 o'clock. On the 12th, we have a matinee at 2 o'clock and an evening show at 7 o'clock. And then our final show is on Sunday the 13th at 3 o'clock.
One of the things I got to tell you, the ensemble that he puts together is just amazing. But the hardest part is really getting everybody together, because everybody's got day jobs and they get gigs, and and so how he's able to collectively bring this all together always amazes me. Until even the night before the show, like, oh my God, we're gonna. And these guys are such professional, and gals are such professionals, that the way it comes together is absolutely, when I tell you magical, it's magical.
Yeah, well, when you're sitting on the other side of it, when I'm out in the crowd watching this, it's seamless. And, you don't realize how much work and time and effort goes into it.
Well, the way he does things, I mean, he's the director, he's the producer, he acts, he sings. He's even more than the glue that puts it all together, which is, like I said, I'm just in awe of watching the way he handles everybody. And you have to be careful, Richie, because again, these guys and gals are coming from their jobs and trying to get to the rehearsal, and you don't want to say too much, because all right, well, but he handles it perfectly, and it's just the way he does it is just amazing.
Well, it's the organizational skills that I learned growing up in a dysfunctional family in Malden. That's a joke, son.
Malden seems to be the center of the universe, because Mark's a Malden boy, too.
I am.
Everything revolves around Malden.
It has been the center of attention for a long, long time,
Absolutely. There's some great talent that came out of Malden.
There really is. Gary Sharon from Extreme.
Yeah.
Dave Russo.
Dave Russo, comic, yep.
Paul Gilligan. Paul Gilligan's a great talent.
Paul Gilligan, that's right. An electrician and a great comedian.
Funny guy.
The song "Spirit in the Sky."
That's I was
Norman Greenbaum.
Norman Greenbaum.
Now, I grew up in East Boston, and I swear to you that when I heard Malden, all I could think of was the country and horses, and like, you live in Malden?
Horses.
Oh my God, yeah. It's, just to me, it just sounded like, oh my God, because I never got over the bridge, out of East Boston or through the tunnel,
Well, you were surprised when you saw the sign entering Malden, weren't you?
Oh my God. Thought it was the other end of the world.
So, Richie, let me ask you, your shows, how many have you put on at the Stoneham Theater now?
Oh, I'd say seven shows over the last 8 years. Yeah, we missed 1 year.
And you're the producer, director?
I am.
Yeah.
A control freak.
Well, you get a good group of people there, and it looks like they have fun. I see, Johnny will post and Vanessa will post, and you guys are having fun backstage,
We do.
Playing around. It looks like it's a fun job to have.
I'll say this. For me, performing has always been a spiritual experience. And I think it is for a lot of performers. They may not realize it, they may not acknowledge that, but it's something that comes from deep within our being, performing. And it is a spiritual experience. And I mentioned today to somebody that music is probably the only universal language that works collectively across a board. You can communicate with anybody from any cultural background, any social background, any ethnic background through music, Right. And it's hard to say that about anything else. But when we get together, we have such a spiritual bond, and that's what I feel, and you feel it in the room when the energy, when we all gather in the room to rehearse, or when we gather in the room to before we go up to perform. We're downstairs in the dressing room. You just feel that energy. You feel all that energy, and it permeates throughout the entire cast. And so that's why we do it. We do it. I mean, we have so much fun, yes, but it's just that the only time in my calendar year that I have that feeling and connection is when we do the show.
Excellent. I think one of the best compliments that's been paid to you that I've heard, and Johnny just said it, but Mr. Sarabian here mentioned Vanessa, and anytime we talk about the show she's doing and when she talks about you, she glows. She loves working with you. She loves being a part of that show. She loves, getting in there with the cast that you put together. She will say it's the best time she's ever had up on stage, and that's a compliment to you, and I think that the team that you put together. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
I really am in awe of these when I watch these singers sing, and probably one of the things that I admire. My father was an opera singer.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, way before I was born. My father was 52 when I was born. My mother was 25. Certainly not a marriage made in heaven, trust me. And but when he was 18 years old, he was given a full scholarship to the Boston Conservatory of Music, wow. And he was called the Boston Caruso with the voice of Caruso and the looks of Valentino. So it should have been, but as life, sometimes things doesn't work out the way it should, and unfortunately he wasn't the household name he should have been. But that's why I'm in awe of singers. I just watch them sing, and over the years he's had so many other singers too. Vinnie Straccia, who was a great addition. God bless the late Vinnie Straccia. But the people that he just puts on there, it's like when the bell rings. It's like everybody, sometimes we have rehearsals and we're like, oh, okay, let's get this going, blah, blah, blah. It's like the minute that bell rings, bang, it's like they're just energized and, they're like focused and their best comes out. It's just amazing.
Real professionals.
Oh, yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, it's not just a show. It is like a real professional show you would see in Vegas, Hollywood, something like that. It is.
I've had family and friends come over the years to see the show, and most of the time they didn't know what to expect. And after the show, they'd come up to me and they'd say, "Johnny, we had no idea. That was an amazing show. We could not even believe it." And sometimes you try to describe it to somebody, and you can't describe it sometimes. But when people see the show, they are totally blown away.
Johnny, you just said something, and I don't want to interrupt you, but before it escapes my mind, which happens a lot, I'll never revisit past memories. I can't remember what happened yesterday, but you mentioned your dad being creative and being, a performer. It passes down through the generations, and it made me wonder, where did Mr. Willis get his chops? Anyone in your family, musical, theatrical?
Yeah. My dad was my dad's from Kentucky, and he played guitar. Country singer, but just played at home. He never gigged or worked professionally, but it was a hobby of his. And my mom liked to sing, and my mom had harmony skills. My mom is an Italian who was born in this country, but her parents were born in Italy. Okay, and they came over, and she was born right after they came over. So she had harmony skills, and I guess that's where I got it. And on Sunday, they'd fight all week. They'd argue all week, but on Sunday, he'd break out, get the guitar, and start singing, "Well, I've got heartaches by the number, troubles by the score," and she would harmonize with him.
And she didn't know he was singing about her.
Bada bing. But anyway, but they would sing harmony, and that would continue for a while, for a couple of hours. And I guess I just sat there listening. I had nothing else to do but sit there and listen. I was a toddler, but I liked it. And I remember when I was 5 years old, I learned a song that I heard on the radio called "Bebop, I Love You, Baby," and I would just walk around the house singing "Bebop, I love you, baby, I'm sticking." And my mother would make me sing it to the neighbors. She said, "You have to hear Richie sing that song. Richie sing that song." So I'd sing it. And sometimes I get paid.
So, writer, producer, director. Now we know singer. Now, where else has singing taken you along in your career?
Okay, so when I really started singing, I want to say this. I have to tell this story. I was down at St. Rocco's Festival in Malden, St. Rocco's Feast.
Edgeworth,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was there in 1965, and I heard an a cappella group in front of St. Peter's Church singing doo-wop. And I'll never forget that warm August night, hearing those voices resonate in the crowd. And I was with my best friend at the time, Jimmy O'Rourke, bless his soul. And I looked at him and I said, "We have to learn how to do that. We have to do that. I want to do that."
How old were you now?
And I was 14. And he said, "I do too. I want to do that too." So we'd get together and we practiced two-part harmony. And the song that we sang was the one that you and I sang in the show last year, "What's Your Name?"
What's your
Yeah, we
name?
sang that. And we would practice that until we had it down, two-part harmony, dawn in one. And then we grabbed another singer. We found Gino Duggan. And Gino was our third singer, and we started singing three-part harmony. And then we would always get together at the same location in Malden Square on the street corner. That's where the Last Days of Doo-Wop came, that story from. That happened. And we'd stand in the doorway. Now, the older guys who I heard sing at St. Rocco's, they would come by every once in a while, one or two of them, and they'd listen. They'd say, "Not bad." And they'd try to show us some stuff. "Hey, try this, try this." So we learned a lot from the older guys. And we kept singing. And we added two more guys. Now we had a full group. We had a bass singer and 4 other singers. And we started looking for gigs, and we got our first job at the Malden High School Valentine's Dance. We made $10 each, and back in 1966, 67, that's a big deal, $10. So we sang for a little while longer after that, and then one day I was over at Jimmy O'Rourke's house. We were talking about practicing and songs we were going to learn, and there was a knock on the door. And 2 of the older guys that I had seen singing back in the day came to the door, and they pulled me outside, and they said, "Hey, we want you to sing with us. You want to sing with..." Now, these guys are 4 years older than me. When you're 17 years old, that's a big deal. The guys 21 and 22 years old want you to sing with them. I said, "Yeah, sure." And that's how the Better Way got started.
Wow. It's a great story.
Absolutely.
We love hearing the backstage info of how stuff all evolves and how you got into everything. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's a great
with
story.
us. Yeah, it is.
Love it.
It is good.
And for those listening at home, St. Rocco's down in Edgeworth, still going on. I think they have a big anniversary last year, but a great show every year. Great performers. They always have Sunday night, the last big gig, and they usually have someone a pretty good note up on stage. So if you're in Malden during the summer, get down there. That's the place to be.
Right. And you're listening to Musicians and Beyond with Sarabian, Lawhorn, and Pizzi. I kind of like that. It sounds good. Put it all together.
Oh, and Sarabian.
Sounds like a law firm.
It is.
Right.
But we're here with Richie Willis. And,
Who's the comedian?
It sounds like a shady law firm.
You hit the nail on the head there. But Richie puts together these shows, and he has one coming up. It's called Their Songs Live On. It features all of these artists, musical artists of the past. And you can go to the Greater Boston Stage Company website and purchase tickets.
If you love music, this is going to be a great show. They have performers bringing back the likes of Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, John Lennon, Prince. There's so many other performers going to be represented there. It's going to be a wonderful night. If you have a chance, go to that website, buy your tickets. How many seats in the facility?
350.
350, and they're going to be sold out real fast, so make sure you're there.
And if I could talk a little bit about the performers that will be in the show. Of course, Johnny Peasy will be there. Now, typically, a show like this, there wouldn't really be a slot for Johnny. So we carved one. We found one. Because Johnny has taught me, from working with Johnny in shows, that you really need to have a balance of light and dark, hard and soft. You have to have a piece of comedy in what you do. People like to laugh. And you have to give them a reason to laugh. They need to experience the full myriad of their emotions in a performance, in a 2-hour show. And so Johnny has helped us do that, his talents and his ability. And so we have Johnny recreating a couple of characters that he did in previous shows. And even a new one that he hasn't done. And he's going to sing. He's going to sing in the show. And what we did was, I don't want to let the cat out the bag here, but the song that he does is from his favorite artist of all time, I think, right?
Well, the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah. So it's a John Lennon song that he sings. But we bring the whole cast in and support him in this song, and it becomes a big production before the song is over.
Well, when I sometimes I go over Richie's house and we go back and forth with, and when he come up with this concept, this idea for me, because I always say, like, what am I going to do in this? I don't sing, And he says, no, Johnny, I got something in mind for you, and we go over this thing, and he tells me the hairs on my arms stood up. I went, oh my God! I mean, it actually highlights me and makes me look pretty good, because again, I'm not a singer, but the way he's put it together with the whole, like me going out there first, playing a little bit on a piano, and then singing this. Then all of a sudden, I turn around, you got the whole cast behind me, and it becomes like this whole scene, this whole tribute to John Lennon. And I'm telling you, everybody I've talked to about it, they've all said the same thing. Oh my God, Johnny, that sounds fantastic. So, I give a lot to Richie, because, again, my first thing is, what am I going to do in this? It's all, and these singers, when I tell you, the singers that he has, oh my, and not only singers, but, there's no tracks, there's no music tracks. This is all live music, and he's got some of the greatest musicians that have been around for many, Sammy Biancuso, Billy Barrasso, and John Zucco. These guys are fantastic musicians, and he brings it all together, and it's. I'm telling you, you're in awe. I'm in awe watching them, and then I go, oh my God, I'm even a part of this, which is great.
That is great.
And I'd like to talk about the singers.
We'd love to hear about them.
Yeah, so we have 2 male singers and 2 female singers as part of the vocal part of the show, and myself included, there's 3 males, but Jimmy Martin is the I don't want to say former lead singer of the North Shore Acapella, because the group isn't officially defunct. It's still, some part of it is still out there, but he's a great lead singer, and we've done work together in the past. We've done different projects together, he and I. John Grant III is the other male singer. Phenomenal voice, phenomenal singer. He's from Los Angeles, and he's been out here for a few years. And I was fortunate enough to meet him as soon as he moved out here before anybody else got their hands on him. And we've been working together since he's been here for the last 3 or 4 years, projects. The girls that sing in the show, Brenda Lau Anderson, she is the Pan American Idol champion, American Idol show in Panama. And she was the 2010 champion. And there were some great singers in that show, phenomenal singers. And she won that. She speaks 4 languages. She sings in 4 languages. She's a beautiful person, incredibly talented. And the other girl that sings in the show, Conchetta de Brito, is currently she's the most sought after jingle artist in the area. She does all these jingles on the radio and TV. Ernie Bach Jr. Da, 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 da. She does that and a bunch of others. And she collaborates with a guy named David Foster. Are you familiar with the name?
David Foster? He's one of the great.
He's like the hit maker. He wrote a lot of Whitney Houston's hit songs, and he's big time, big guy. And she's one of his favorite singers.
That says a lot.
Yeah. It says a lot.
That is amazing.
So we have some great singers in the show. And then the band is my old disco band from back in the day, Breakaway, all the Breakaway musicians. Along with them, we have a few others, a sax player named J.O. Wharton that I first started working with in the business 50 years ago. And we have a young guy who's the youngest member of the entire group, the keyboard player. He's a friend of Brenda's, Brenda Lau's. He's from Argentina, and he's an incredible keyboard player. He's a teacher over at Berkeley.
Wow. Now, you've played with Breakaway many, many years ago, and you brought them all back together. How did you pick and select the people that are performing with you now? Brenda,
lucky.
Conchetta?
I got lucky, really. Every year, something will happen. In other words, I start with a cast of singers, and then for one reason or another, somebody maybe can't make it for the next year's show. They have something else going on, or it's not a show that I want to use a particular singer in, you know. So so I get lucky. I mean, Brenda, I put an ad in Berkeley in the Berkeley newspaper or the website, Berkeley website, and she responded to it. In fact, that's how I got. You saw the last show, Last Days of Doo-Wop, that we did last year. One of the youngest singer in the Doo-Rays, he responded to a Berkeley ad as well. He was a Berkeley student last year. And so sometimes I'll get them through Berkeley, or sometimes just talking around to other people, finding about. Every time I meet a new singer or a new person in the cast, they'll say, "Hey, I've got a friend. If you need somebody," I say, "Oh, okay." And then the time will, without question, come that I'll have to find out who that person is that they were talking about.
Now, when they respond, do you have a number of responses and then you hold an audition? Or is it you meet someone you hear and then you're like, you know what, that's it?
Yeah. Well, initially I did. When we first started 8 years ago, I had to have auditions. Because I was a newbie. I didn't know who was out there. I was removed from the music business around here. I hadn't been in the business for at least 10 years, so I wasn't connected. I lost my connections in the business. So we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to audition anymore because a lot of times people will respond or they'll come to the show and they'll say, "Hey, listen, if you need somebody..."
Johnny, how did you guys meet? You guys seem to be very close.
That's a good question, Rich. Well, how did I? It's funny. I've heard, before I knew Richie, I had heard, and I've heard about him, and there's a lot of things that he did, and I just think that I think it was at Bobby C's. Did you go to a time that I was at? We were at the same time.
I don't know.
Somebody's birthday because the Meduno family.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could have happened that way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because you guys work a lot together and you work very well together.
Yeah.
All of these shows and supporting each other.
I just follow his lead. You know, he puts me in situations where it's, you know, it's, I mean, he has seen me enough, you know, in the comedy clubs, and he has seen me done comedy, and he's seen me do magic, and I didn't, you know, acting was never a big thing in my life, but you know, he's put me again in a situation where, you know, I've been on stages. Nothing. When I tell you, I've been a stand-up for almost 40 years. I've worked in Vegas, Atlantic City, Reno, Laughlin, all around the country. There is nothing like being in a play, and you know, you're sending out your lines, and people got to, you know, follow you, and you know, and it's just amazing. It's what a feeling that is to be a part of a cast like that. Nothing like it in show business, live acting, where, you know, it's not like TV where you could cut. All right, let's do that over again. Or if you're making a movie, all right, let's take 76. You know, boom, let's do it over again. No. When you're in a live play, you've got to get it down the first time. And you know, he's put me in great situations. You know, I'm still sometimes when people say, you know, what do you do? I never say, well, I'm an actor too, you know. And I mean, I know there's some comedians out there that have been extras, you know, and I've been an extra many times, and they'll put down actor, and I say to myself, yeah, really, you know, come on, you know. So.
Well, I will say, though, that in spite of the fact that Johnny is marginally talented, what makes this whole relationship that we have really appetizing for me is that he won't take any money for any of the performances. He refuses pay. So,
Well, you're both very humble.
Well, you know, again, I'm in awe when I see what he does as a singer, and you know, I think he respects what I do too. He's not in awe because he's a funny guy. Wait a minute, Richie, you're a funny guy yourself. He's given me many ideas that I've taken up on stage and bombed with, but it's okay, you know.
Someone has to be a sacrificial lamb for my creativity, but no. The truth of the matter is, Johnny is a very talented guy. All right, here we go. But no, Johnny is a very talented guy. He does a lot of things. You know, I go down to the comedy club where he hosts Prince, and you know, the big names are out there on the marquee. You know, and they're talented. But Johnny, in my opinion, is more talented than any of the other comics that I've seen, because he has more tools in his toolbox than all these other guys. Johnny, and he's not afraid to try a new tool, you know. He can entertain you for an hour with card tricks. He can entertain you for an hour with his stand-up comedy. He can entertain you singing and playing the piano. And he can act. He can do situation comedy. He can do it all.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're really good at it. You're responsible for millions of dollars being raised for different charities also. You've spearheaded a lot, and you know, that's very admirable of you to go up and you tailor it to the crowd. You could go to a nursing home,
which I do,
and it would be,
which I do. I do assisted livings. I do nursing homes,
and then you could go to a biker bar and tailor it to their.
And I go into Children's Hospital for the kids and do shows for them too.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But I got to tell you, one of my big thrills. So I got a call one day from Mr. Bill Belichick, and Lenny Clark had given my name. He was looking for a magician. So Bill called. So I knew he was calling me. So of course you have to act like no big deal. Say, hey Bill, how you doing? What can I do for you? You know, he say, hey, would you come into, you know, if I come down in Nantucket and my son's bachelor party, and so I said, okay, Bill, yeah, no problem. You know, he goes, you know, what do you want to do it? I said, 4 tickets to the games, and you sit in your seats, and I'll see you. He goes, yeah, done. You know, so he flies. I brought my son. He flies us both to Nantucket. Thank God I do close-up magic, because I go to a restaurant and there's 20 guys, 20 or 30 guys. I was about 30, and all behind me just looking. I go, oh my God, I better be good. And so I, you know, blew them away. Then Bill says to me, would you go downstairs and do that for all the wives and the girlfriends? And then I go downstairs and do that for them. Then he goes, okay, now we're going to my house. and we walked 3 blocks away from and he had a circus. I had to do a stage magic show too.
Wow.
And I was hugged more by Bill Belichick, serious, in those few hours than I'd been for all the years of marriage. I'm telling he hugged me and told me, oh my God. And we still keep in contact, and I send him texts, hey, congratulations and this and that. And
Great.
But Bill is nothing like you see on TV. I just want you to know he is one of the nicest guys, loves jokes, the dirtier the better. You tell him a dirty joke, he'll tell you one even dirtier. He's that type of person. But when you see him on TV, good game. Am I done? It's not like that at all. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. Great.
Richie, a little while ago you said something that you left music for a while. You left entertaining. What'd you do in between, and why'd you take a little break?
Well, as you know, the music industry, I just have to back up a little bit. So when disco came out, bands that were performing in nightclubs tailored their repertoire to that of what was being played on the radio, which was disco music. But then DJs came on the scene, and club owners everywhere realized they didn't need to pay for a live band, and a lot of times they were bringing in bands from out of state, and so they had to put them up in hotel rooms, provide them with meal money. So now all of this went away. All they had to do was bring in a local DJ to play music. People were still on the dance floor dancing and drinking, and everybody was happy, and club owners were making more money. And so live bands started to fall apart. And they started to downsize first, and just to survive. And when I saw that was happening, I was fortunate enough to realize that we had to reinvent ourselves. And that's when I started North Shore Acapella back in 1980, right when disco was, really happened. And what we were able to do, we were able to do something that nobody else was doing. We had 5 guys that could sing, didn't need a big PA system, didn't need a booking agent. We could go book ourselves anywhere because all we have to do is show up and start singing in a room. And that's our audition, And they say, yeah. And anytime when you have a group of singers singing harmony, it's hitting you in the face, it's going to have the same effect on you that it had on me as a 14-year-old down at St. Rocco's. And so that's what we did, and it became very successful really quick. We started working in all these different rooms. The hottest thing in Faneuil Hall back in the time. Yeah. Back at that time, Faneuil Hall was jumping. And so we had a lot of work and made a lot of money, got all these corporate executives came into Faneuil Hall, and they said, wow, look at these guys. They hadn't seen anything like it. Now we were being hired to go to all these special events, Traverse City, Bermuda, Las Vegas, all these different places. So it became a great, successful business. And I probably should have stayed in North Shore Acapella, but I decided, we got to a point where we even recorded a 45, a couple of songs that I had written. But we got to a point where it started getting a little stagnant. The guys, I felt the energy around me was getting weak. And I decided I'd take a friend up on an offer. A friend of mine was in L.A., and he said, listen, I'm starting a production company. I'd love to have you come out here, work with me, and, this can happen and that. So I said, you know what, maybe it's worth the shot. So I did. I drove out to L.A. and stayed there for a little while, but never got off the ground. And while I was there, a good friend of mine, Frank Renzulli from East Boston, was there at the same time. He had just moved there. He was a struggling actor. And another guy from New York moved there at the same time, and he was a struggling actor named Chaz Palminteri. And we would get together on Monday nights, the 3 of us, and we'd go to showcases. And Chaz would get up and sing, and Frankie would laugh. And I actually put together an a cappella group in L.A. I've found 5 singers, and so we started singing at the showcases as well. But anyway, nothing really got off the ground, and I knew that I'd have to really be there for a long time to make things happen. So I decided to come back and started another a cappella group that, again, is still together 40 years later, Street Magic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, only we were Night Magic at the time. When I left, they changed it. So anyway, after a while, things started getting stagnant again, and I'm that kind of a person. I won't stay with something just because it's making money. I need to feel something inside, and I left.
That's interesting. So leaving a band of that style and doing production and directing, I imagine the stage gives you a little bit more creative liberties and maybe a little bit more fulfillment because it's always changing.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, and I can always write a new show. I can. So I'm able to create. I'm able to write songs that I use for the show. I'm able to write dialogue that I use in the show. I create scenarios, create a scene. Create a story. So. It's fun. I'm just fortunate enough to have talented people that want to go along for the ride. I'm really blessed.
It's incredible. Good for you.
So you guys did a duo. I mean, in the last show.
We did.
Do you remember what the duo was?
What's your name?
Do you remember how it goes?
I do.
What's your name?
No, Johnny. Let's get the right key here.
Okay. What's your name? No.
What's your name? That's you.
Oh. What's your name?
Is it Mary or Sue? What's your name? Do I stand a chance with you? It's so hard to find a personality with charms like yours for me. Ooh, 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 wee. What's your name? What's your name? Shoo-be-doo-wop-wa-da.
All right.
Perfect. You still got it.
And the house
You
comes
still
down.
got it. That was good, man. Good. So this was great having you guys in. Mark, Musicians and Beyond, myself, Johnny Pizzi. I mean, we might have to put him on the payroll and have him as the third wheel.
I'll sit the next few shows out and see how it goes for him.
Okay. And Richie, again, how do people find out information on the show you have up and coming?
Well, they can go to the theater website, greaterbostonstage.org. www.greaterbostonstage.org is the website. Or they can call 781-279-2200. 781-279-2200 to buy tickets at the box office.
Great. And it's a show people don't want to miss. And you announced something to us when you came in. You have a big heart for first responders.
Yes.
And you did say something that you were going to do for the first responders for one of your shows. And could you just let the audience know about that?
I would. So Friday night is our first show, Friday, November 11th, 11/11. And I'd like to call it First Responder Night. And I'd like to donate 20 tickets to first responders. The way we can do this is if I'm gonna give you my phone number. The first 20 first responders that call me on my phone, I'll make arrangements for them to see the show on Friday night.
Wow,
That's awesome.
Extremely generous.
Very.
Right. Now, Johnny Pizzi was crying over there when he heard that tickets were going to be given away.
So I'll have to give you that phone number.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 617-605-8674.
So I'll tell you, one of the things I like about it, Captain Sarabian's been on the Winchester Fire Department for many, many, many years. I've worked with the Sheriff's Office here in Middlesex County, and I know that these guys, the first responders, whether they work at Cataldo, they're EMTs, firefighters, police officers, sheriff's deputies, all of them need something to lift them up because they work in a terrible environment. There's not much appreciation out there right now for these people that are doing what we need to happen in our communities, and we need the people doing it. So that's awfully generous of you, and it's something that's much needed in that community.
I echo that 100%. You're absolutely right. I'm ashamed with the way the media and a lot of politicians have treated the first responders in this country.
Yep.
I worked as an EMT. I know what it's like. I've been on the front lines with those guys, And it's terrible what's happening to policemen in this country.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we all feel the same way, and anything that we can do to support them and show them that not the entire country's not like that we are behind them. And I think there's a silent majority out there that is definitely needs to step up and start sounding the horn and sounding the alarms that we're going down the wrong path here.
Well, you know, I just noticed in the paper that the Boston City Council, they approved themselves a 21% raise, right? And then we can't get these, like I said, first responders more money because they don't really make a lot of money. When you talk to them, you kid me. That's what you're making after what you do. You're saving lives on a constant daily basis.
Protecting our families, protecting our businesses, protecting our lives, and politicians get a raise of 21%. We can't even get these guys cost of living increases.
Exactly.
Even our seniors can't get the right cost of living increase to be able to afford to live independently.
It's terrible.
Well, John will be the first to tell you that whenever there's, like with 9/11, everybody was running away and firefighters and police were running toward what was happening. They run toward the danger.
That's brave, that's service, that's commitment. That's
You know, another thing too, John, I wanted when I told you about the thing I did for 9/11.
Yes.
6 weeks after 9/11, and you know the Worcester firefighters that lost their lives in that fire. I did the very first fundraiser at the, in conjunction with the wonderful Chelsea Fire Department. We did it at the PPC in Chelsea, where the room there was 300 people, but there was 500 people in the room. The Worcester firefighters got a police escort all the way here, and so I did the first fundraiser for the Worcester.
That's awesome. And
widows.
thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Johnny's always one of the first ones to step up and help out with anything that needs.
This one here won't say it, but he does a little part in a buddy of ours is a Nashville musician. He wrote a tribute song to firefighters. It's an incredible song. We'll send it to you guys so you can hear it. And Jeff Batson, Eric Haynes and Jeff Batson and Haynes, but Jeff wrote this tribute song, and I've seen it performed here in Mass, and I've seen it performed down at the Nashville at the Bluebird, which is a pretty big deal if you know that venue. John has done twice the spoken word, which is the firefighters' prayer in the middle of the song, and it's pretty impressive, and it's pretty, when you hear it, I mean, right now, the hair standing up on my arms, I get goosebumps. It's pretty impressive to hear him do it, number one. He brings a Boston accent to a Nashville song, which is pretty incredible, but when you hear the words of the song, it's pretty amazing, and I think more firefighters should hear that song, and the public should look up to them the way the song does. So we'll send that over to you.
Yeah, we'll send that over to you.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
It's called "Don't Call Me a Hero."
That's right.
Nobody writes better songs than country artists. They write the best story songs ever.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. So again, we want to thank you guys for taking the time. We know that you've been busy putting this show together. It's definitely a show people don't want to miss.
Again, the dates of the show.
November 11, November 12, November 13.
Awesome. And then Johnny Pizzi. I mean, Johnny, you got shows coming up. And how do people find out about what you got going on?
Well, I haven't updated my website, but I'm at Giggles 2 weekends a month, and I've been there for 34 years. I helped start Giggles 34 years ago, and so that's always been great.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of traveling. I mean, I have I have 2 shows this Saturday night in Haverhill.
Any other venues that you're working with right now? You have any other big shows coming up?
Well, I'm going to be in New Jersey November 4th and 5th at Catch a Rising Star. I'm going to be headlining there. Then the week after, wonderful.
Their
play.
songs
You're
live
back
on.
here.
Songs live on.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys have put together. I know there's a
looking
lot of
forward to
work
it.
into it, and I really can't wait to see your Beatles tribute. It sounds like it's really going to be something special.
Going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Great.
I can't wait. I can't wait. It's like, get me on that horse. I can't wait. Get me on that horse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, you're listening to Musicians and Beyond podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and what else, Mark, do we got?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, 24 countries. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing good. So we want to thank you guys again for coming in, and we want to thank you guys for being our friend.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. It's an honor being your friend.